Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
His family also, like, everybody is shocked, and his family, the same thing. We are trying to support them as hard as we can.
They need to do all that stuff when they are going for the road test. So if the test is not for another year, so what's going to happen? They have to go take another lessons and spend more money in there.
Everyone knows about like the straw and like the turtle of it being in its nose, and like it goes beyond that. So plastic bags, everything that we can do to try and eliminate waste, that is what pushes me.
Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with Windsor's Islamic community in mourning. Friends and loved ones are grieving the death of two teenagers. And today, services were held for the two who lost their lives in a car accident over the weekend. Our Jacob Barker has been following this and joins us now live from the Al-Bair Mosque, where another service is going to take place. Jacob, how is the community reacting to all this?
Katerina, their names were Yazin Hamse and Ahmed Dubdub, and they were both 17 and both from Syria. And the Islamic community came together in a big way to mark their passing. Now, there were hundreds of people at the Windsor Mosque where an afternoon prayer was said for the two young men. That was followed by a massive procession that brought them to their burial. They died in a car accident this weekend in which Windsor Police says a car struck a pole on Wyandotte Street West early Saturday morning. Two others were brought to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. I spoke with a good friend of Ahmed earlier today who knew both of them, but he says Ahmed was in his last year at Catholic Central High School and was with his friends playing cards the night he died. He says the community is in shock.
Ahmed was very respectful. He was very generous. He was my brother, not my friend. We were very close. We were very close with each other. We spent time with him more than I spent time with my family every day. We go to school, and when we done, we hang out together. Until now, I can't believe that he's gone. It was a shock for us and for everybody. His family also, like, everybody is shocked, and his family, the same thing. We are trying to support them as hard as we can, and we support ourselves first. But it's really, as I tell you, is a big shock for us. Ahmed was a very lovely person that loved everybody. He never said, like, he never cried once in his life. He said, I love to live my life very happy. I don't like sad, like, people crying.
As I said, there were two others in the car accident that were involved in the car accident on Saturday morning, and during the session earlier today, the Imam did give an update on that, saying that one of the people that were in the car does remain in hospital, but the other has been released. Katerina.
Thanks for this, Jacob. The CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. And more grim news today from the local health authority. COVID-19 has claimed one more life in our community, this time a man in his 80s. The case count also climbed by 39 today, pushing the total number of active cases to 340. There are also currently 32 outbreaks, with 19 people in hospital with the virus. And meanwhile, as of this morning, parents of 5 to 11-year-olds were able to log on to the health unit's website and book an appointment for their child's first jab. Vaccinations for that age group will take place at the clinic at Devonshire Mall starting on Thursday. And as you can see from the health unit's site, spots are filling up quickly. Each day offered hundreds of available appointments. And local officials are speaking out against anti-vaccine efforts in Windsor. This after a former local candidate from the People's Party of Canada tries to prevent parents from vaccinating their young children. Victor Greene, who ran in the Windsor-Tecumseh riding, posted this message on social media, encouraging others who support his anti-vaccination sentiments to fill up the appointment slot so they'd have to turn kids away. Local City Councillor Eric Smerchuk retweeted the post, calling it vile and an obstruction to residents' rights to access health care. The head of Windsor Regional Hospital also responded. CEO David Mouche said intentionally preventing someone, especially 5 to 11-year-olds and their parents, from accessing critical health care services such as the COVID-19 vaccine is reprehensible and repugnant. Our local Windsor-Essex healthcare system and the world has witnessed the devastating impact of COVID-19 on our community, and to deliberately sabotage someone's ability to access this life-saving vaccine needs to be stopped through current and/or immediately implemented legislation. We have reached out to Victor Greene, but have not yet heard back. And Windsor police are also saying that they are preparing to be on site at vaccine clinics to oversee any protest being planned. Earlier today, the service tweeted a reminder that protesters are required to remain on public property and that hospital operations and public safety cannot be disrupted in any way. Some drivers are waiting months, even more than a year, to get a road test in Windsor. The drive test centers were closed from March 2020 until June, causing nearly 9,000 road test cancellations. The province opened temporary drive test centers, but Windsor was not on that list. And the nearest is Sarnia, and the government says no more are currently planned. Windsor West NDP MPP Lisa Gretzky says she will push again this week for a temporary drive test center in Windsor.
So it's absurd that the government didn't pre-plan for that and didn't have temporary drive test centers in place, and more importantly, didn't have the people in place, the workers in place to be able to do those drive tests. And I think that it shows a real lack of leadership, really, on the part of the government not to foresee that this issue was going to take place.
She said it's affecting seniors who need to get retested and young people who need a license to get to work or school. Since drive test centers reopened in June, the Ministry of Transportation said it is hiring 167 new temporary driver examiners while extending the hours for weekday road tests and offering weekend tests at some locations.
You know, it's kind of disappointed for them and for us too. We teach all that stuff in there, then okay, they are ready to go for the test. And but they couldn't book it. Then they have to, as I said, they have to take extra lessons. And it's not very good for the business either when parents know that there is nothing they can do it for 1 year. Then they say, okay, we will look for another 6 months and then we will see whatever is available, then we will do the driver's ed course. So business goes low when these kind of things comes up.
After watching plastic pile up in our community for years, one Windsor woman is looking to do something about it by opening up a new eco-friendly shop. Her mission? Reduce and eventually eliminate single-use plastics and waste in the community.
Hello and welcome to Ecovana. My name is Andrea Descargar and I'm the brand owner and founder of Ecovana, and we're here to create eco-conscious essentials without the waste.
Descargar works in post-industrial recycling. She's seen what's behind the curtain.
I just got really sick. Like, I was never into, you know, the environment before, but just seeing everything that was going on in the environment and how much is going to the landfill, we can do better than this. So that's what really helped push for Ecovana.
While still juggling her job with Green City Plastics, she started the new business last year during the pandemic. Online at first, selling reusable items like produce bags. But then she started making products like deodorant paste and package-free shampoo bars.
That just took off because they replaced 3 shampoo bottles. They're mega concentrated and really help reduce waste for anyone who showers. So it's definitely an essential product.
Demand grew and she moved from her kitchen to here. Doors opened last month.
Let's go to the back.
It's a space with room in the back for her own mini factory.
And this is where the magic happens, where we have where we make the products. Our ingredients are over there, and then this is where we package them.
Not all the products sold here are made by Descarga herself. The ones that aren't are still eco-friendly and Canadian. One key feature, this refillery station. Just take a jar or bring your own and fill up on soap.
It's less plastic in our landfill too, which is amazing, and it really helps teach our younger generations on how we could, use the things that we need, but without the waste.
Less waste is a mantra others in the community are taking on as well.
I'm slowly starting my more sustainable product journey.
Baldock first found the brand online when she became a new mom, looking to get friendlier items for her daughter.
The world needs as much help as we can give it, so any little thing that I can do, I'm really trying to slowly change over the products that I use to be more environmentally friendly, more sustainable.
Descargar is grateful for the support, especially during the grand opening over the weekend.
When I think about it, I just want to cry. Our hearts are so full, and our shelves were almost empty. Everyone really came through. We saw a lot of families come out.
It drives her to keep doing what she can by making products like these so that there's less plastic ending up in places like this. Justin Trudeau's government unveiled its plans for the third term with a speech from the throne. But while most of the focus today was on what was in the new Liberal mandate, the throne's speech will be marked in history books as the one delivered by Canada's first Indigenous Governor-General. Rafi Boudjikanian has the details.
Today's ceremony surrounding the speech from the throne as traditional as the institution of Governor-General itself. But it was also a day for firsts. Mary Simon is the first ever Indigenous person to deliver a throne speech, speaking in Inuktitut along with the other two official languages, subtly underlining that she's been practicing her French.
La pandémie nous a aussi fait comprendre.
As she highlighted the journey toward reconciliation, the pandemic, and
this is the moment for bolder climate action.
Top of mind as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet deals with unprecedented flood damage in British Columbia.
We often talk about, building back a cleaner and greener country. I think we're also going to have to consider building back a more resilient country and a more resilient economy.
But if the recent federal elections results suggest that Canadians want cooperation in a minority government, it's not a message the official opposition heard. The Conservatives say they won't support the throne speech.
There's nothing in the throne speech that deals with inflation, the cost of living crisis, the national unity crisis.
We've said it from the beginning that our support should not be taken for granted.
Supporting might not be the best word. We will live with this empty piece of paper, gently read in 3 languages.
That vote from the bloc, however unenthusiastic, is ultimately all the feds need. But there will be other points of contention, including a debate on whether or not to continue on with a hybrid parliament, something the Conservatives also oppose, even as they refuse to disclose how many of their MPs are unvaccinated due to medical exemptions. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
We have more details today around the positive news for seniors and children who rely on OHIP to cover eye care. Optometrists across the province are resuming this type of service after a nearly 3-month-long standoff with the government over fees for OHIP patients. But some seniors say they're having trouble getting appointments. CBC's Greg Ross has the details.
I don't think I could function very well without glasses.
70-year-old Rick Conrad says he gets his eyes checked annually. His latest appointment was scheduled for September 22nd, just weeks after optometrists in the province stopped providing OHIP service.
Around the beginning of September, they phoned the optometrist's office and said that we've canceled your appointment.
Conrad says the appointment was particularly important because earlier this year he started having trouble reading.
You were hoping to get potentially a new prescription.
Oh, yes, I was wanting a diagnosis.
That's good.
What's preventing him from getting that diagnosis is a job action by the Ontario Association of Optometrists. They say the province is currently paying them an average of about $45 per patient, but their operating costs are closer to $75 per patient. Negotiations broke down between the two sides in August, and they've been at a stalemate ever since.
It's been extremely difficult for a lot of our CARP members who haven't been able to access the services.
Bill Van Gorder is the CEO of CARP, an advocacy group for seniors. He says eye care is extremely important to their members.
Whether that's driving or knitting or reading a book or watching television or any of the things that we do, eyesight is critical.
He says even though the OAO has agreed to pause its job action, the problem is far from over. He says there's now a huge backlog of OHIP patients looking for eye care after months of canceled appointments.
If the two sides had gotten together in the summer, as CARP had been asking them to do, we wouldn't have had this backlog now. And the question remains, why has it taken so long for the two sides to get back together again?
Van Gorder says the province bears a lot of responsibility for that delay.
We have not seen them willing to come to the table to negotiate when the OAO continued to say they were ready to negotiate.
Both sides sent out statements today saying they have resumed talks. Conrad says he was lucky. His optometrist was able to book him an appointment for later this week, while other seniors and children may be forced to wait months.
It's good for me, not so good maybe for other people that are waiting.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Flood-ravaged areas in British Columbia are once again under threat from extreme weather. What meteorologists are calling a parade of storms will move across the province in coming days. And while there's been positive word for some evacuees today, as Renee Filipponi reports, other communities are still struggling in the aftermath.
After more than a week forced out of their homes by floods, 1,000+ residents of Merritt are able to return. But it's a much different city from the one they left.
You will be on a boil water advisory because the health officials tell us the water is not safe to drink. You will be asked to put as little sewage as possible down the drains, as we cannot process it.
A second group will go home later this week, but officials say it will take longer for areas with severe damage. Meanwhile, in Princeton, the community is pleading for help as they try to fix broken water and sewer lines.
I've put out a request for labor. We're trying to get people's homes cleaned out so that they don't freeze up.
The military says it will add more troops if needed.
Right now, based on the provincial assessment, we have enough troops in location.
But that isn't stopping volunteers from trying to get into Princeton and provide relief.
Right now we're focusing on Princeton. I know they need help, so we're trying our best. Yesterday and today we're going to keep trying to get out there. If we have to drive it, fly it, we don't care.
Today, CP Rail was able to get its line open between Kamloops and Vancouver, which should help with supply chain issues. CN plans to do the same tomorrow. But it will be some time before major highways are back open, with some sections completely destroyed. At this point, there is no sense of how much all the repairs will cost.
I don't want to offer a dollar amount, except it's quite clear that there's going to have to be a considerable investment in rebuilding.
Meanwhile, there are big concerns about the weather system headed this way. Heavy rain is expected this week in what meteorologists are calling a parade of storms. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Let's take a live look outside there. Stay with us. When we come back, Colette Kennedy will be here with a look at your weather forecast. Colette Kennedy joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Colette, I did take a peek at what is in store for the week ahead, and there was something for everybody. There was sunshine,
Yes.
then there was some showers, and then some flurries.
You're exactly right. There's a variety that we are going to have for you, and you just got to kind of hold on because it'll be changing. So right now we're going to turn this ship around from where we're at, and we're going to see things kind of going in the opposite direction. So mostly clear and quiet tonight, but cool readings. However, this is where we're turning it around. With those winds getting strong, gusty from the south tomorrow, we'll find some mild temperatures coming our way, but then later we'll add some rainfall into that, and then later still, like by the end of the week, those temperatures will drop back off, and then we'll see those rain showers turning into some flurries. So how's that for variety? There are the current temperatures, though, below freezing for Chatham, Kent, Sarnia, and Kitchener, and London. Windsor just hanging on there, 0 degrees at the moment. Some of that lake effect, which was pretty intense and made for very poor travel, finally those winds out of the west-northwest have backed off, and that was sort of the last batch of that. That's why the quieter conditions tonight that we'll be seeing throughout southwestern Ontario. Now tomorrow, starting off with a little bit of high thin cloud, but primarily there'll be enough sunshine in there too to make it an enjoyable day. It's just keep in mind those winds will be strong, and then it's going to be late as we get towards late Wednesday. That's when we'll see the rain starting into the overnight and all the way into Thursday morning, and then kind of coming off and on through the day on Thursday. So we've got a wet one coming up there. Now, here are some of those winds, some of those gusts exceeding 50 kilometers an hour, darn close to 60 kilometers an hour there for Sarnia. But it is that southerly direction. Can keep the temperature certainly a little bit cooler there off the lake, the closer you are to the lakeshore. Otherwise, overnight tonight, we're looking at these lows of -2 to -4, and then for tomorrow, okay, we probably won't quite get the double digits there, but 9 degrees is going to feel pretty good with that increase in cloudiness, though, in the afternoon after that high thin morning cloud. 6 for you on Thursday with the rain showers. Check it out behind the cold front where that temperature will fall to. And then as far as the daytime high goes, Friday, that's some of the coldest air we have seen yet this season, Katerina.
A little bit of everything. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, after the break, we're going to tell you a story about how the province has been treating its endangered species. Lisa Shing will have that story after the break. I know we told you before the break that we had a story about endangered species for you, but we're not going to get to that tonight because we have an update for you. Victor Greene has responded to CBC News just now about that post that we told you about earlier in the program, the one where he posted online to say he was encouraging others who support the anti-vaccination sentiments to fill up appointment slots for vaccines so that the clinic would have to turn kids away. This as the vaccine has been approved now for kids, and we're seeing those vaccines coming into our community. Now, Victor Greene says that he was hacked, and he says that he's having an IT person look at his computer. So we're going to stay on this, and we'll have more coverage for you on this story online as the story unfolds. So you can check there, cbc.ca/Windsor for the latest updates. And now we're going to turn to the most wonderful time of the year on Christmas Island off of Western Australia, although only just sort of.
This year's migration has just been absolutely epic. The roads have been a seething mass of red crabs.
Now, these are not your typical Christmas ornaments. Millions of red crabs. They're on the epic journey from the center of the island to the edge of the ocean to mate. The crawling mass of claws only made less threatening by the slow pace of this annual migration. The males will later return to the forest, but the females will stay on to lay eggs in the water. But the critters also cause traffic jams, and drivers have to routinely rake them to the side of the road. Now, if that makes you think of snow, some adventurous residents are even known to lie on the ground and make red crab angels. Now, that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. There, we're going to bring you the latest on that situation with Victor Greene that we told you about. And we are on social media as well. You can check us out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Have a wonderful night.